Even. Okay. What up? Welcome back to the pod. Welcome back to y'all's favorite conversation, checking in with, well, just checking in with y'all two favorite people on the internet at this point. It is moi, yours truly, everybody's favorite uncle, Uncle Don Don, joined here by my good brother Qualls, aka.
Mr. Qualified. How y'all doing?
And before we get started, I just want to say that your beard looks great.
Thank you. I appreciate you of all people know that
I'm oh I
this has been a journey for me. I was looking at pictures of my younger self the other day, and I'm like, wow, like 3 years ago? Hey.
And you know what? I want to go on record and apologize to you for being a skeptic so many moons ago, because you would come up to me and be convinced that these two little whiskers that you had was going to grow in and do something. You said, no, 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 I'm not going to cut it. You would get haircut, done up, all of this other stuff, right? But you would never get this cut off. And I'm like, these three little hairs you got off to the side, you're like, no, 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 it's going to grow in because it's going to connect. And I was like, okay. And now it actually did. It's nice. I like this. It gives a full mature look. So shout out to you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I don't think I still look my age. I think I can still be confused for younger, which I take pride in, don't get me wrong. But at least I'm not confused with being a child. So growth.
Grow. Meanwhile, well, I talked to Diamond the other day. Shout out to Diamond, my Leo queen. Um, and she didn't realize that I was turning 35 this year. She's like, "Oh, I thought you was younger than that." I was like, "Well, how young we talking?" She was like, "Well, I would have assumed you was turning 30." I'm like, "Bet, I'll take it." I think my age is dictated sometimes either by my hairstyle or the gray in my beard. Because if it grows out a little bit, then you can see the gray, and it's like, are you in your 20s? Some people gray early, that's cool. But yeah, I think my hair changes my age, so I can rest on that.
I can agree with that. I think the locks help me look closer to my actual age. Um, Especially now that they're mature. I think it's funny since getting locks, I think my face has matured along with my locks. Because when I first got them, I still did not have facial hair. But as they've matured, so has my face. So it's been helpful. Do you feel like you try to hide your grays though? Because I don't think they're super noticeable, but I also don't feel like they're. It's not the amount of gray where it's like, hey, Jesus, you been stressed, brother. Like I don't think it's that level, but
Right. Like I don't necessarily hide them. Like I do have gray hair in my head, but that's they are hidden just because my hair is long. But I don't necessarily hide them. I like the little salt and pepper vibe. But when my hair is cut low, like after I get a haircut, you don't see them as much. But once it grows out, I was like, oh, you got a little patch right there. Like down here is definitely gray. But I did find my first gray hair in my mustache like a week or two ago, and I was like, wait a minute, the hell is this? Like that, I don't like this. It's only supposed to be right here. Why you growing up above the lip? I ain't like it. But no, I own it. I mean, I don't get carded as much anymore, almost never. So I'm just like, and I was out with my niece, and I ordered a drink, and they just brought it to the table, and I'm like,
okay.
what? But I was like, oh, that makes sense because she clearly is a child. So if you look at her relative age compared to mine, like I must be the adult at the table. But I mean, I still card me. Benny's the liquor store would, but now they stopped. They just like, okay. And Illinois law is that if you are under 40, you have to be carded. And I'm like, no, hold the hell on. I ain't 40 yet. Let's run that back. Let me show you my ID. I had it in my hand. He was like, nah, put it in.
Wait, so is that because you a regular or because you just I don't think nobody's assuming you 40. Like,
If I was a regular, I wouldn't be offended. But I didn't know that man from a can of paint, and he was just like, "Yeah, brother, you go ahead." I'm sorry, what? My back don't hurt that much, man.
I'm weak. No, that's a crazy law. Why 40? Why that number?
I don't know, but I saw that. I was curious as to why they would card people that look seasoned. And then I saw and it just says, you have to card under 40, I guess to assume. I don't know.
Yeah, that that's funny. When you said seasoned, I immediately thought of like how you would group eras of like maturity. Cause it's
Mhm.
like when you 18, like you're legal, but you're not really an adult just yet. And so I would say like 21, 22 again is like the drinking age, but I think that's like the beginner phase of like actual adulthood when you start actually understanding what being an adult kind of means. Then around like 25, 26, in an ideal world, like you become a bit mature, like you start
Mhm.
to more and you understand, life a little bit better. Then I think your 30s is kind of like seasoned. Like you're not old and you're not claiming old, and you're not young and you're not claiming young, but you choose
Mhm.
what side of the fence you want to be on, depending on how you feel that day. I feel like that's seasoned. But then I was like, damn, does that mean after season you just old? Because that's kind of messed up. Or
Yeah,
that's
but like,
a long timeline.
and you know what? Our 35 looks different than the 35 we grew up with, right? So
That's
like I'm young, spry, look good. I mean, yeah, my back hurt a little bit sometimes. My knees, I wear a brace to the gym these days, but we still have a youthful air, even into your 40s for real. Like I know some early 40s folks that could rival me, but we grew up with 30-year-olds looking, like the cast of Steve Harvey show. So when you go to school and you see these what are now we know young teachers at the time, they was old as hell. It was like, nah, you grown, you old, you in all these beiges and big ass coats and like that 30s is different.
wait.
So
Are you saying the cast of the Steve Harvey show like looked like a old 30s, like their 30s looked old?
if you were in high school, if you was Romeo and Bullethead and all of them, right? You young, you think you got 80 years in front of you. And you look at these teachers in these big ass suits and these thick ass heels and the swoop bang, all of these like very dated aesthetics. You can't tell me that they young and 30. They are 30 and grown. I'm young and 30. There's a difference.
The swoop thing messed me up because it gave me this aesthetic. I got hit on by a cougar for the first time a couple years ago, and what an experience it was because I thought it was just having regular conversation. Like I'm at a family member's house, and we having this conversation, but somehow zodiac signs came up, and the lady was a Sagittarius, but she was like, "Oh, I'm a Swagatarius." That's what the Sagittarius call themselves, Swagatarius.
You,
That should have been the first. That should have been the first giveaway of what was going on here. But yeah, just back to that, like thinking of people in that age, I'm like, I'm pretty sure I don't know how old the lady was. The age is not necessarily relevant. The point is, whatever age she was the young version of it. So I do get your point of there being like a like a grown at 30 and a young 30. Which is crazy because I feel like only black people will look at things from that perspective. I don't think white people going around talking about old 30 and young 30. They just Karen and Bob happy to be alive.
well, I say this with love. One of my friends said that white people age like bananas. So I don't know that there is the same divide culturally. Like they are ripe one day and crow's feet tomorrow. Like it just they say black don't crack, but it sure do spread. Okay. So we will age and some of our kinfolk get a little wide all around, but the face card does not decline.
Can we acknowledge? Don't crack, but it spreads is might be one of the most diabolical things you have ever said. And I've heard you say a lot of things.
It's
That is
true.
insane.
Metabolism will get a hold of us and slow down. And We just you
Look,
got to stay active, stay fit. I know sometimes, when you have kids, whether you birth them yourself or you were just a parent, you get a little daddy weight, you get a little mommy weight. Like, your body changes. That's okay. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but we have to acknowledge that we will be 50 and look good right here. But you might need to do a little push up or something. You might have a little arm jiggle. It's okay.
oh,
Thighs get a little thick.
so that's why you don't want kids. You don't want the daddy weight.
I don't know if I had no dad bod. The hell, no. Because I don't understand how parents have time to do anything else other than parent.
No,
You have to
genuinely.
go to work. You have to go to work, right? So when you come home from work, you still have to parent. Even if you are at work, don't let the school call and say that so and so that did something, they got to get picked up early or they're sick or they have to do that. Like, when do you have time to work out? When do you have time to sit down and do nothing? If you have kids, you never sit in silence anymore. Like, you want me to lose all of that? What? No, I'm okay. I'm
Yeah.
everybody's uncle. I ain't nobody's daddy.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to those type of calls because I feel inconvenienced by certain things right now that aren't really inconveniences, but like they annoy me. So I'm really trying to think about, yo, like if I get a call like, oh, I have to leave work, I gotta use my hours to come deal with you because you want to mess around at school. Oh, oh, I see why parents used to be so upset.
Absolutely. Hell, I got a part-time dog. At this point, it's my stepdog. Okay. I had a dog once upon a time. It didn't work out because I just realized it was too much to keep up with. So he is now full-time living with my mama. I give a little child support, pay for the food once a month here and there. I had to get up at 5 o'clock this morning because his ass was sick. And what did we do? We took him to the doctor. That's why I am currently in my Shamrock Shake realness right now in this hoodie because I just needed to grab something on to run out the house. Shout out to St. Patrick's Day is coming up. I wasn't camera ready as a parent, and I went with the green because I was like, at least that's a color. The other option was gray. I'm not about to be on the camera in a gray hoodie. No. So you want this to be my everyday and have kids, and they gonna cry for like 3 years? Oh no.
So as an uncle, your uncle responsibilities don't start until about age 4 or 5.
I told my sister when she was pregnant with my niece, that's the oldest. She was maybe like 4 or 5 months pregnant, whatever. I literally told her this, and I was 17 at the time. I said, I will be the best brother and I will continue to be the best brother, and I will be the best uncle that I can ever be for this child. My only stipulation is I will not do anything with diapers. So my uncle duty started after her ass was potty trained. You fast forward 3 years later, she had my nephew, same rule apply, right? What did she do? She ain't listen. She left me with him one day. My mama was gone, Brandy was gone, they was all out in the street. She said, "We'll be right back. I'm just running, we'll be right back." I'm like, he's still in the car seat. Did he go to the bathroom? She's like, "No, we're gonna be right back." Right back in Chicago is 2 hours, right? That's enough time for a baby to shit on themselves several times. And what did he do? 15 minutes after she left, shit on himself. And what did I do? I picked up the phone and I called her. I said, "How far are you away? Because I think you need to get back because your son just went to the bathroom." She's like, "You sure?" I'm like, "I'm smelling something. I think you need to come back." And she was like, "Nah, I'll be right back. I'll be right back. You can change him." What did he do? Sat in that damn diaper. Did I risk a diaper rash? Yeah, but I told you the stipulations. You chose not to listen.
Look, I feel it. And I used to always had a question of like why people didn't want kids, not because I thought it was a bad thing. I was just always curious because I feel like, well, for a lot of women, I feel like that's just kind of the life that's, if not shown to them, kind of told to them in a way, and kind of the life that they fantasize. I don't think that the majority of men necessarily fantasize about kids, but if they are somebody that is thinking about family and the future of that family, usually kids are involved. But I understand not wanting to take on that type of responsibility. I would quite argue, I would argue quite strongly that it might be the biggest responsibility there is as a human. I mean, unless there's something else I'm missing, I'm pretty sure there's something else of extreme high, priority and responsibility. But I don't know, having kids and raising kids, on top of that, more importantly, I get why somebody wouldn't want to take that challenge on. I can't say I blame you because
Yeah.
yeah,
And
Cali
I
was
think,
enough.
go ahead.
I was just saying Cali was enough. The day after I got Cali, I was like, did I did I make a mistake? Can
A
I get
lot.
the dog back? It's too much.
And you want to love them. Like I go to my mama's house all the time, and the dog is so excited to see me. And then when I sit down, he is up under me. He is my shadow. It is Velcro at this point, our relationship. I'm like, oh, this is so nice. And then I leave and I come back to my house where there's no dog hair and it's quiet and it's not water droplets on the floor from him knocking the bowl over or something. Like I like that, but I'm just like, would I want this all the time? No, I don't. And if I used to want kids, I really did. I was never like anti-kids, but I realized that that wasn't something that I see for myself now. Like if I was gonna have kids, it was gonna have to be some wonderful accidents in my 20s and I would figure it out, make it work, and that would just be what I know. I have gotten too far into life now to know what I know and to know how expensive them little suckers are, right? Just to keep alive. Not because they want to go on field trips and buy gym shoes. They need diapers and formula and my money. What? No, it's okay. No accidents. I will just continue to be everybody's uncle. I look at everybody as a niece and nephew, and that's okay.
Yeah, no, I was literally just about to ask, is it or how much of it was kind of, well, you said life, and I feel like it's more that than age, but I was gonna ask as far as like an age thing, like, did you just kind of get to a certain point where it's like, yeah, if it was gonna happen, it would have needed to happen, or I would have needed to be in the situation for it to happen, like at X age or X amount of time ago, because I can just imagine like as much as you are a young 30, I mean, at a certain point, this ain't no reward to this risk. Like ain't no bright side on the other end that is necessary. Like there is, but it's also like that's a choice at this point. Like I do not have to choose that for myself at this stage. And I don't know, like I definitely haven't lost the desire to have kids, but I could, if for whatever reason I don't have any in the next 5. Hey, not that that's what I want, not that that's my plan, but like if for whatever reason 5 years from now I ain't got no kids, it's like
Yeah, that was my cut. 40, because I said I never wanted to be an old parent. Love my mama, but and I mean I'm talking about my daddy, but he a year older than her, right? So same generation, same group. They are old parents, right? They were always at least what 10 to 15 years older than all of my friends' parents growing up. Right. But my sister is 10 years older than me. So she, was appropriate child to parent age. I got closer to 40 by the time my mama was like, yeah, let's have Donald. Right. So, I said I never wanted to be an old parent because I didn't want to be old raising a child. My sister is in her 40s now and soon to be in a couple of years an empty nester for what, 3 years to think about. That is enticing. To be 40 and starting, now I gotta hope that my 20-year investment in this one child is gonna pay off. What? Uh-uh. It's okay. It's cool. So no, I did want them. I always wanted kids, but that's partially how we socialize, right? You
yeah,
grow up and say like, when you get older, you have a family, you get married, you get this dog, you get this house, and then we grew up and it was just like, okay, you don't have to have like all of that right at the same time or in a certain timeline. But I was teaching for so long, even though my students were older. But like I was teaching, I was just like, I don't know how people come home from working all day with other people's kids, regardless of age, and then come and love on their own. Like that, I couldn't get. So I said, once I left the classroom, maybe that absence would allow me to like really want a kid. But Yeah, it just worked out that way. So I mean, it's still not off the table while I don't desire it. 40 is my cutoff. So if we ain't pregnant or adopted by 39 and a half, oh, it ain't happening. It ain't happening. My time is up because they stopped carding me. So what I'm supposed to do?
You stupid. But I am amazed at how you're able to bring things full circle like that.
Oh,
Must be the educator. Uh, but actually, this conversation made me think about something that I saw as we were trying to figure out what we were going to talk about today. But the idea of self-love, like we're talking about life and navigating it and having to make these life decisions, business decisions to a degree on, how we want things to look for us. How have you been able to practice self-love, or how have you found yourself practicing self-love in the midst of navigating like some of the different decisions that can be life altering no matter which way you decide, they're life altering to a degree at least. But yeah, how do you practice self-love within all of that?
I think it's a 50-50. It's a two-part split. I'm not going to say it's half and half. I have been blessed to have experienced what real love, true love, and unconditional love feels like and experience like growing up. So I have that in mind. So I'm like, I've experienced that. So I want to bring that in and make sure I keep it for myself so then I can give the same for other people.
Yeah,
The other half to that, maybe not 50%, but my self-love is also based in the trauma response. Um, for the times that I was not loved or the times that I felt like I didn't experience love. And I'm like, well, I'm not waiting for validation from somebody else. And this is family, the people that you really grow up with. Like you just kind of see how they operate and maybe what you would have hoped and expected from a certain relationship and didn't get. So you said, well, I'm gonna correct it for me and just hold on to that. So like I have put both of those together. But the trauma response piece is I don't like to be without. I don't like to be without money. I don't like to be without food. I don't like to be without love. So I like to make sure that I have it for myself and pad it in reserve somewhere. So if things start to diminish or I'm like, I ain't feeling it today, like I don't like myself today, but I love myself every day. I got that cushion. So some of that's coming from a trauma response. But what do you think about that for you?
I think like I think a lot of it for me is trauma, but I think I've really struggled with how to practice it and how to implement it. I think I understand the concept and the idea of self-love, but I don't think I've healthily applied it because I think my struggle has been not knowing how to balance what that self-love looks like for me versus kind of naturally having this idea of how to show love to others. Um, being an empath, being somebody who, from my experiences, things that I've seen, things that I've been through, always wanting to make sure people feel love. There, I think, was a time, a long time actually, where I don't think I ever saw the other side of like what it means for me to receive it, and not from somebody else, but for me to be able to give that to myself in moments when necessary. And then I think when I wasn't able to figure it out, it just got equally more frustrating. I started holding myself to an even kind of like higher standard because it's like you should be able to provide yourself self-love, if nothing else. Like that should be the thing you should always be able to rely on. So that's kind of been like my experience with self-love. I think I would really say kind of like right now, maybe in the last, let's call it a year, where I've experienced, I feel like this immense amount of growth, have I kind of finally understood and went through the true trial and error of how to practice self-love, but there being an intentionality around making sure that I'm like trying to do it for myself and not just writing it off or, overlooking it or anything like that. So yeah, that's kind of been my experience and my dilemma with it.
Yeah, I think when it comes to self-love, um, I love myself so much that it annoys other people,
Mm,
right? And I mean, we joke about it like, oh, you're a Leo. I'm like, I'm not full of myself,
Yeah.
but I definitely will gas myself up. I definitely will fill myself up. I don't have to get that from somebody else. It's nice when other people pour into me the way that I pour into myself because then it feels deserving,
Yeah.
right? But I think that some people struggle with the idea of self-love because maybe they've never experienced love or just not really knowing, having some discomfort around that. But I think it's okay to own it. Like to get love, I feel like you have to be love, right? So this is how you are. It's a character-based thing. So that's just how I approach loving on me.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. And to the point of like owning it and owning, just owning the idea of what you don't know or what might be your struggle within the matter. I think for a lot of people in general, like once you reach the place where you realize there's an unlearning process taking place, a lot of people don't kind of really accept that that's what that is. Like, no, you have to, like, we are all unlearning some form of a trauma, some form of information that we were taught where we thought, until we were really able to think for ourselves and had enough of our own experience to form our own opinions, we were just going off of things we were told or what we saw without context. So when we get to a place where we form these own opinions and we realize that we can kind of make these changes, especially mentally, that's an entire process of unlearning that like you have to accept that you're in this process of like unlearning something that you've operated in for an extended period of time to the point where it might have became a habit or it might have became second nature. So I think, just as much as, owning what you don't know, it's owning the fact that, there are things that you're going to have to unlearn due to what you are, learning currently. But I think that's a bigger step than I won't say that people admit, but that maybe people realize at times.
I feel like a good analogy for love and self-love is the same thing that you hear on the pre-flight rules of what's going on. They're like, yo, if some weird shit happen and we go down, put your mask on you first before you put it on somebody else, right? I feel like the same thing with love. Like you have to love yourself before you can love somebody else. And in doing so, you can kind of start to remove the possible guilt that's there for pouring into you. Because people feel like this is a generalized statement, but I feel like people that struggle with loving themselves feel like it takes away from something or takes away from somebody. Or if I'm giving time to myself, I'm giving energy to myself, if I'm doing all of these things, then it somehow blocks away other people. And it's really kind of just self-preservation. It's also just practice, but like you have to do that first because if not, you think that you are giving love to other people when it's almost everything but. I don't know what to call it, but it's not that. You just kind of trying shit, don't work, right? You just you have to figure out what that is. But no, put the love oxygen on you first before you start breathing in somebody else's face.
That's a great analogy. And I mean, I feel like that's a great place to wrap up too. And might I add, for something completely unscripted, I feel like we did a pretty damn good job.
You know what? Damn good jams. No, we
Oh, no, shout out. If you know, you know. If you know, you know.
right, but no, yeah, we honestly, this was a purely random check-in. Because we didn't know where this was gonna go. But I think we had a good conversation enough for y'all to hear. This is the true us, actually. So
Honestly, truly, this
there was no talking points. Like I said, I ain't had no sleep. I hadn't been with a dog just vomiting. So we made it through.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, this is what y'all can expect to get more of, honestly. But we also are very aware of what this month is. It is Women's Appreciation Month. So best believe we will have episodes and content tailoring to that, acknowledging that, respecting that, and yeah, all the good things. So excited about this month. And yeah, until next episode, until next time, we'll catch y'all next week. Peace.